Today we'll discuss about sexual reproduction in flowering plant. Today's second session, we'll talk about the pistil, the megasporangium, that's ovule, the embryo sac, the concept of megasporogenesis, and discussion about the female gametophyte. You can see there are 7 sessions. Today we are going to do the second session. The rest of the session you must see to conceptualize the entire learning of the chapter. What are the various learning outcomes? After doing this particular session, you should be able to draw the structure of pistil. You should be able to conceptualize the structure of megasporangium, conceptualize the structure of embryo sac, the process of megasporogenesis, and some prior information you already have. It is about the anatomy of a flower, the various terms associated with description of a typical flower, terms associated with different modification of androecium and also that of gynoecium. Obviously there is pollen, which you should be very well off. You can see the bonanza of different type of flowers which are seen all around us. They are a joy forever. You know, the gynoecium represents the female reproductive part of a flower. This is nothing else but a China rose. The gynoecium. This is the staminal tube. I have removed little bit of staminal tube to show the exposure the ovary. And then there is a long structure, and on the top you can see the stigma. The gynoecium may be monocarpellary, consisting of a single carpel pistil, or multicarpellary, having more than one pistil. Now 2 more terms to do, syncarpus and apocarpus. Syncarpus is when there are more than one pistil and they are fused together. The fusion leads to syncarpus condition. And if the pistils are there, but they are all freely available, you call it apocarpus. So a multicarpellary flower can be syncarpus or apocarpus. And you know that each pistil has 3 different parts: the stigma, the style, and the ovary. This is yet another flower. It's a beautiful flower. If you can see that this part is the stigma, this is the style, and then at the base there is ovary. This happens to be the androecium, if you can recall, and these are the petals. The stigma serves as a landing platform. The stigma is at the tip. If you can see, these are the stigma. They are the landing. Pollen will come and fall on it. They are the landing platform for pollen grain pollination. The style is elongated and slender part of the stigma. At the base, there is a bulged part. We call it the ovary. If you make a section of the ovary, you will see chambers. These chambers are called as locules, also called as the ovarian cavity. Inside this locule only, the ovules will develop. Now, if you have seen the common sweet pea, when you break open the fruit, you will see the seeds are connected to the fruit by a small part. Before the seed was formed, it was the ovule. So ovule is connected, and this entire fruit was nothing else but the ovary. So the placenta is located inside the ovarian cavity. The megasporangia, also typically called as ovule, they arise from the placenta. Placenta is a connection between the ovary and the ovule. The number of ovules in an ovary may be 1 or it can be many. How do you find out that? If you take any particular fruit or vegetable that is available in the kitchen, cut it. See how many seeds are there. If you cut open mango, you will see only 1 seed. You know that the ovule results in the production of seed. So only 1 ovule was there, so only 1 seed. In paddy also 1 seed, wheat also you will find only one seed, that is only one ovule was there. But in case of papaya, pomegranate, watermelon. There are numerous number of seeds. That is, it had lot of ovules inside it. This is the diagrammatic representation of Hibiscus gynoecium. You can see on the tip there is stigma, 5 of them. Then there is a style, and the base there is ovary. And just to remember that how many pistils are there? Here it is 5 of them joined together. So it is syncarpus. This is poppy seeds. This is the ovary part. You can see the gynoecium, they are fused together with a lot of carpels. That is why it is multicarpellary and syncarpus. The first one is also multicarpellary and syncarpus. Whereas in this particular diagram of Michelia, you will find that a lot of small units are there. These small units were separate pistils. So it is having lot of carpels, so you call it multicarpellary. But as they are not fused together, they are free, so they are apocarpus. And of course, you can see the positioning, a typical anatropous ovule. We'll discuss about the ovule in the next topic. What are the different parts of a typical ovule? It has got funiculus, micropyle, integument, nucellus, embryo sac, hilum, chalaza. The funicle, it is the stalk of the ovule, which connects to the ovule at the placenta. Hilum, it is the point where funicle joined with the main body of the ovule. Integuments are nothing else but the cover. There are the layers that surround the ovule. There can be an outer integument or inner integument. In some, there is only one integument. Now, it is up to you to find out. If you collect some seed, maybe soya bean that is available back at your kitchen, try to take out the cover of the seed. How many covers are there? If it is one, then the ovule had only one integument. You call it monotegmentic. But if you take, say, pumpkin seed, remove this cover, you will find another very fine layer, testa, tegment. So the inner layer is representative of the second layer of integument. So 2 integuments were present. So it is bitegmentic in that way. Then comes the micropyle. The integument covers the entire ovule, but there is a particular place where it is not covering. That end is called as micropyle. It is generally at the top of the integument. But whenever we are using the top, it can very well be at the bottom, depending on the positioning of the ovule. Now, the ovule, imagine my hand to be ovule. If it is oriented like this, the ovule is called as orthotropous. There are so many different terms: compylotropous, chymylotropous, amphitropous, and then anatropous. In your book, anatropous ovule has been given. If you take this axis, it is at 0 degree. Orthotropous, it is at 180 degree. So it is just with reference to the axis, what is the orientation of the ovule. So different terminologies are used. So the next term associated with ovule is nucellus. You know that the integument covers the parenchymatous tissue that constitute the main body of the ovule. You call it the nucellus. The primary function of nucellus is to provide nutrition to the developing embryo. Chalaza end. Wherever the micropyle is there, just the pole opposite to it, it is called as the chalaza end. Then the embryo sac. You remember the centralmost part of the ovule is the nucellus, nutritive tissue. Inside it, the embryo sac develops basically towards the micropylar end, and a single embryo sac is developed from a megaspore through reductional division, that is meiosis. This is a typical diagram of an ovule. You must draw this diagram and practice it back at your home. You can see the positioning of the funicle, the hilum, then there is micropyle where the integuments are not present, Opposite pole is called chalaza. This part is nothing else but the nucellar tissue or nucellus, and at the center there is a embryo sac comprising of 8 different cells. Let us talk about the process called as megasporogenesis. How is the ovule formed? For that you have to have the concept of class 11th. You have studied about different type of placentation, different type of aestivation, if you can recall. When you talk about placentation, series of diagrams were there. In the diagram, if you have observed that there is a central axis, there can be septum or there may not be septum. These are the chambers inside the ovary. You call them the locules. It can be unilocular, it can be bilocular, it can be trilocular, pentalocular. So many different numbers are there. Now, from anywhere inside the locule, maybe the central axis, maybe the septum, maybe the corner of the septum, a small cluster of cells started developing, primordial cell, and slowly it forms a mass of cell. We call it the nucellus. Over a period of time, the nucellar tissue grows more and more, and then from the base, intubement will grow. The tip is not covered, that is where the micropyle is formed. Opposite pole is called chalaza. Now, inside the nucellus, something happens. A primary archisporial cell develops, and it generally develops towards the micropylar end. Slowly, this undergoes a division, mitosis, and 2 cells are formed. It is the outer primary cell wall and inner primary sporogenous cell. And then what happens? The outer primary cell wall slowly divides and redivides to form a cover that forms the cover of the embryo sac. And inside it only one cell is there. That is what you call as the diploid megaspore mother cell or megasporocyte. The cells, 8 cells that develops in the embryo sac develops from this particular cell. This megaspore mother cell undergoes meiosis, forms a chain of cell, 4 cells, you call it the linear tetrad. And by the process of meiotic formation of haploid megaspore from diploid megaspore mother cell, this entire sequence of process is called as megasporogenesis. Let us see the sequence of development. As I was mentioning that inside the nucellus, a primary archisporial cell is formed, divides, outer primary cell wall and inner megaspore mother cell is formed. This megaspore mother cell, you can see in the diagram only one cell is there, covered by a layer of protective cell. Outer primary cell wall divides to form the outer cover of the embryo sac. Then what happens? That undergoes meiosis. Remember, in meiosis, there are 2 stages of development. A cell divides into 2, where the chromosome number is reduced to half. You call it the reductional division. So here you can see 2 cells which are formed inside the embryo sac, resulting in further division. You call it the equational division. So the outcome of meiosis is 4 daughter cells. So you find 4 daughter cells here, and the ploidy will be n number in all the cells, arranged in a linear fashion. You call it the linear tetrad. You call it the megaspore tetrad 2. Let us have a discussion on the female gametophyte. In majority of the flowering plant, one of the megaspore is functional, where the other 3 degenerate. In the last diagram, you have seen that there was a chain of 4 cells. Of them, 3 will degenerate, 1 will survive. Majority of the plant it happens. Only the functional megaspore develops into female gametophyte. You call it the embryo sac. In some of the plant, 2 of them may contribute and 2 will degenerate. In some plant, all 4 will survive and result in cells of embryo sac formation, and none will degenerate. But commonly, 3 will degenerate, only 1 will survive. And there is a particular term for that. It is called as monosporic development or polygonum type of development. It was named by Dr. Panchanan Maheswari when he studied the embryological development of the embryo. Let us sum up the process of megasporogenesis. First, the nucellus of the functional megaspore. Nucleus of the functional megaspore, it divides mitotically, free nuclei, to form two nucleate embryo sac. Again divide mitotically to form four nucleated embryo sac. And then again it divides mitotically, free nuclear, to form 8 nucleated embryo sac. Remember, we are talking about the condition 4 linear tetrad where there are 3 degenerated, only 1 functional megaspore was left. Now we are continuing with that point. It undergoes 3 time mitosis, becoming 2 cell, becoming 4 cell, becoming 8 cell. And this 8 cell nucleated stage, the cell walls are laid down later on and it forms typical female gametophyte or the embryo sac. Let us have the visual. If you can recall, the linear tetrad, 4 cells were there, 3 degenerated, only 1 cell by monosporic development. From that 1 cell, you can see it is the nucleus which has divided. It is free nuclear division, 4 cell, 8 cell. And then what happens? Cytoplasm aggregate around it and now it becomes cell. So cell formation takes place later on. Initially it is free nuclear division. And you can recall this entire thing is an embryo sac comprising of 8 cells. And these 8 cells slowly reorganize them 3 and 2 arrangement. The 3 that goes on to the top, you call it antipodals. The 3 which is present at the micropilar end, so 2 of them are synergid and 1 is the egg. Together you call it the egg apparatus. And there are 2 central cells. You call it the polar nuclei. Why do you use the term nuclei? Because initially nucleus was formed. Later on cell formation will take place. So it is one embryo sac having 8 cell, 8 nucleated stage. This diagram that you are seeing now, it is nothing else but the embryo sac. You can see the positioning of the antipodal one end, the positioning of the 2 synergid at 2 ends with the egg cell in the center. This constitute the egg apparatus. The synergid, they have got some structure, you call them filiform apparatus. It has got a function that guides the first male nucleus, second male nucleus during fertilization of the ovule. And in the center, you find the polar nuclei. Later on, these 2 cells will fuse together to form 1 cell having 2 nuclei. So it becomes 7 cell, 8 nucleated stage. Let us recapitulate. The pistil, it has got 3 different parts: the style, stigma and the ovary. Stigma is the place where pollen grains will fall for pollination. The megasporangium or ovule or the embryo sac, it comprises of 8 cells, the antipodals, the synergid, the egg cell and the polar nuclei. The megasporangium, the ovule, you can recall that it has got a funicle, it has hilum, the covers, intubement, opening, the micropyle, opposite pole, the chalaza end, and inside you will find the embryo sac. The surrounding parenchymatous tissues, they are called as the nucellus. Let us build up the concept of megasporogenesis once again. A ovule, a primary excrisporial inside the nucellus, a primary excrisporial cell is formed, divides into 2, outer primary parietal and the inner primary sporogenous cell. That inner primary sporogenous cell, also called as the megaspore mother cell diploid, that divides by meiosis and forms a sequence of 4 cells, a linear tetrad of 4 haploid megaspore. So what is the female gametophyte? In majority of the flowering plant, one of the megaspore is functional, the other 3 degenerate. This is called as monosporic development. That 1 cell result in the production of the 8 cell inside the embryo sac. What is megasporogenesis? It is formation of the embryo sac from that one haploid megaspore cell by repeated mitosis 3 times. Initially, it is nuclear division, free nuclear, followed by accumulation, aggregation of the cytoplasm to produce the cells. After doing this topic, few questions, I want you to attempt them. Tell what is the gas represent the female reproductive part of the flower. So what it is going to be? When there are more than one pistil fused together, it is called the number of ovule in the ovary of wheat, paddy, mango is, what do you call it? The primary sporogenous cell directly function as the what? You have to tell. The process of meiotic formation of haploid megaspore from diploid megaspore mother cell, it is called, you have to name the process. In monosporic development, how many megaspore degenerate and how many survive for production of embryo sac? If you have tried it, then the next slide you are going to get the answer. A 8 nucleated embryo sac is formed from new cells of a functional megaspore by, you have to name the process. So this is yet another diagram where you have to label different parts. These are instant evaluation, whether you have accumulated the chapter or not. Solutions are also given. If you cannot solve it, or if you have solved it, compare your results to find out whether your answers are right or not. I want to give you some assignment too. You try them back at home. Certain links have been given to you, some video links have been given to you. Please click on them and try to solve them and find out what more you can add to the concept. Thank you, and we'll meet for the next session, and when we discuss about pollination, kind of pollination and agents of pollination. This was a presentation from ZIT Bhubaneswar.